PNP star, many people be focusing on what happens in central Manchester come election night to see if Rhoda Crawford can defend the crown she took 5 years ago. And this evening, Lead Story Prime, she joins me on the set to talk about her chances in the upcoming elections. We'll also hear from the man looking to ensure that she becomes the first one-term MP in central Manchester history, the Mayor of Mandeville, His Worship, Donovan Mitchell. Well, politics has always been, will be, well, so it will be should come before will always be. So will always be a numbers game. And the numbers in central Manchester over the years shows almost total PNP domination. If you go to 2007, the former mayor, Sally Porteous, she went forward for the JLP, fell 115 votes short of Peter Bunting's total of 8,453. Then in 2011, Danville Walker came in, and he will tell you to this day that had he more time, he would have beat Bunting, but the time was what it was, and he fell 539 votes short. And in real terms, though, he just moved in, Danville Walker did, and did amazingly well in the short time. But Bunting again, this time increasing the majority, daylight between himself and Dr. St. Aubin Bartlett, the veterinarian of note, 1,172, the difference between the men in 2016. When you looked at 2020, though, this one was a turn up for the books. Bunting's campaign was slick. His videos were slick. His whole persona was of a man who was confident of victory. But when the tally finished, well, even before the tally was finished, it was clear that an upset was on the cards. And by the time the votes were counted and verified, Rhoda Crawford stood atop the podium. 8,140 votes she polled, Bunting short by 1,151. So what about the situation in terms of the vote differential the vote difference between the candidates in the last 4 elections? Wafer thin in 2007, small in 2011, okay, reasonable in 2016, and the numbers kind of reversing there. 2016, 6.7%, 2020, 7.6%. But the fact is that Rhoda Crawford has the biggest margin of victory in terms of the seat count vis-a-vis her rival over the last 4 elections. How is the picture in the local government elections coming from the 2024 vote? Well, Knockpatrick, which was the one JLP division in central Manchester, that fell, and the others went to script. Mandeville, Royal Flat will always vote PNP. So too, it seems, Belfield, and both those came in to give the PNP a sizable advantage. In 2020, as I noted, the picture was different, and Knockpatrick was the division that the JLP won. Mandeville, they held on to, well, they grabbed as well. So this is the lineup. Rhoda Crawford, the defending champion, Donovan Mitchell, the new guy, at least at the parliamentary level. He's been in post as Mandeville's mayor since 2016. He will now come forward to take a crack at the young woman who made history for the JLP in the 2020 general election. So as I noted, Mandeville Central, or Central Manchester, beg your pardon, has been home to several members of parliament since 1967, when the seat first came on the list of seats contested in the general election. Of course, you know, universal adult suffrage 1944, but Manchester Central didn't come into play until 1967. And a man who people who travel in Manchester, the name Winston Jones Highway, we all know it. He was the first member of parliament there. 3 terms he served. The lone JLP MP from central Manchester before Rhoda Crawford was the late educator, the outstanding educator, former principal of West Indies College, now NCU, Dr. Sidney Beaumont. He was in situ as member of parliament for 2 terms. So before Rhoda Crawford's history-making victory in 2020, Dr. Sidney Beaumont, the only Labourite to win in central Manchester. He did 2 terms, 1980, and of course, we all know the PNP boycotted the 83 elections. So he was in office from 80 until 89. And Crawford, the first woman to win in central Manchester. Now, curiously, as I noted at the top, no winning candidate no MP rather, no MP, put it this way, no MP in central Manchester has served less than 2 terms. There's never been a 1-term MP in central Manchester. And certainly Rhoda Crawford will say, well, I won't start that trend. She joins me here on Lead Story Prime on this Tuesday. Good evening.
Good evening, George. Thanks for having me.
I'm exhausted by talking so much already. You're going to have to do much more to talking. But just before we go further, just to tell the viewers again that the tail of the tape shows that the PNP has dominated central Manchester. I mean, John Jr., the former health minister, a legendary figure in Jamaican politics. He did 4 terms. He is the term leader in terms of members of parliament. Bunting had his wings clipped at 3. And so Crawford is looking to run up her own sequence to fit in line with what MPs before her have done in terms of winning multiple elections. So I greet you this evening by asking you, how is the campaign going at this point?
The campaign is going very well. I have a very organized team. My campaign director, who created miracles in 2020, she is back on board, and our canvas is looking very good. We are, of course, heading into communities now to intensify our house-to-house visits.
I've heard you say on radio that what happened at the local government elections, of course, where the PNP swept the constituency, you say people see it as a portent that you are heading to certain defeat in the general election. You say, no, it was good that this happened at that time. I'll be wiser for it. What do you mean?
Well, for sure, what the local government election showed us, Team JLP, is the areas that we need to work on, the areas of improvement. But I mean, outside of that, if you look closely at the numbers over the last several elections in Manchester Central, you would find that in a general election, 3 divisions except the Belfield division would usually vote for the Jamaica Labour Party. However, in the local government elections, the divisions would vote for the PNP, except not Patrick, that swings from time to time. And so I'm not perturbed by the local government elections. My name was only on the ballot once in 2020, and it will be returned in 2025. And I'm very confident that once the name Rhoda Crawford appears on that ballot, I will be victorious.
You have the benefit of being, well, the media appears to like you, and you have gotten a lot of favorable press in your time as a member of parliament in the constituency. So you're not one of those candidates who will be shuffling and trying to find a platform to tell constituents or to tell Jamaica even about yourself. You have that covered. In terms of the work in the constituency, what are the difficulty points you've encountered so far as you try to deliver services to the constituents in central Manchester?
Well, first of all, before even answering that question, I want to point out that Manchester Central has never had a more hardworking member of parliament than Rhoda Crawford. I have worked hard, I have delivered. From time to time, the comments from persons on the ground is, boy, I never know that MPs could get this kind of job done. But back to your question, what has been difficult for me on the journey is not responding to the needs or fulfilling the expectations of constituents. Because I find that once you reason with a constituent, if they ask for something and you're honest with them, you tell them if you can do it or if you can't, or you take the time to explain to them the different systems and the different processes, I find that they're very understanding and very accommodating. The problem is if you hide away from them and not be upfront. And I think my constituents appreciate my honesty and know that if Rhoda says she's going to do something, she's going to get it done. So what I find to be difficult is the state agencies that members of parliament must interact with. A lot of persons don't know that members of parliament do not do actual processing at our offices. What we do when a constituent comes for assistance, of course, we have our resources, we have to send them off to a state agency that we call the quote-unquote implementing agency or the executing agency. So for example, if someone comes to me for assistance with their tuition, I do a submission, I send it off either to the SDC or the parish council. So sometimes the turnaround time is a bit lengthy, and so that breeds frustration. What I also find too, we are the first point of contact for our constituents. So unless as a member of parliament, you develop a good relationship with the leaders of the state agencies, and thankfully, in my case, when I became member of parliament in 2020, one of the first things I did was to find out what are the critical agencies that I must interact with as a member of parliament. And I went in, met with the managers, took their telephone numbers. So when I meet upon certain difficulties, I am able in the dead of night to call upon a manager of an entity, and they're always very responsive because we have mutual respect. But the procurement timeline has been a real challenge, especially as it concerns road rehabilitation. I've had an experience before when the contractor came in, the implementing agency came in, they did the measurement. For example, the repairs cost 4 million when it was first done. And by the time it was approved, of course, based on exchange rates and, different elements, the costing moved to $6 million. And, during that wait time, constituents can become very frustrated. So my difficulty is not with interacting with my constituents or balancing my time. It is the state agencies that we must interact with.
All right. This is our first break here on Lead Story Prime. Rhoda Crawford, Central Manchester. She's here with me. And later on in the show, when she leaves the stage, I'll be speaking with the man challenging her, or set to challenge her, Donovan Mitchell. Of course, it's not nomination day yet, so I, for one, I'm not calling the candidates as yet. There's some way to go before that happens. But here's the thing. We have to, Rhoda Crawford, go back to what happened on February 24, 2024, because it stands to reason. Well, it's not an issue of stands to reason. It is expected that a party puts resources into a local government election so it can win its divisions, which then gives it a base, a plinth from which to launch a re-election or an election bid in the general election. And it is that the 4 divisions in your constituency are in the corner of the opposition. Aren't you fearful that the kind of work that they're doing in there, and the fact that they'll be able to tell the people, well, look at what has happened in these divisions under PNP's hands, you have no reason to vote green come election day? Isn't that a real and significant threat to your bid for a second
Well,
term?
actually, quite the opposite. Because in 2024, the candidates of the PNP, they went into the divisions. They promised the constituents pie in the sky. They have not been able to deliver. And there's growing frustration among constituents in Manchester Central regarding the level of representation that they have seen from the PNP councillors. And the other thing that is a plus for me is that constituents in Manchester Central, they have become frightened by what happened in 2024. And persons, if you come in Manchester Central, you will feel and see the energy on the ground. Persons have expressed they can't afford to lose Rhoda as their member of parliament. And what I've also found, because I've been involved in politics in Manchester Central from as far back as Norman Horn's time when I was a little girl in school, I realized that persons, Jamaica Labour Party supporters, they do not usually take the local government elections as serious as they do the general elections. And what I must say to George that, is serving as a major motivation is that I have an army of 1,000 party workers across the 4 divisions. And they are standing with me, they're lifting me tall. And I have very, very good support from the business community in the constituency and the church groups.
When you look, and as you speak to demographics, that's where I'm going next, because when you look at, if you are to split the voting population in Mandeville in 3 areas, so you have the youngsters who would have just registered to vote in their first elections, youngsters who are eligible to vote in their second elections, and persons, say, from 40 and above. Let's start with the group 40 and above. What do you think is or are those things that you would have managed to do already, to complete or to start, that would cause those 40 and over in your constituency to say, you know what, Ms. Crawford deserves a second term?
Well, first of all, the road infrastructure. I've been able to repair more than 37 roads in less than 5 years. So persons in that age group, they're very appreciative of the work that I have done with the road network. Persons in that age group, they're also very happy with what we've been able to do in housing through central government, through the NHT, where already we have been able to provide more than 100 new housing solutions to constituents, persons from the parish. And just a few months ago, we broke ground for the Mount Nelson development, which will offer almost 1,800 housing solutions. And I mean, outside of that, through my own constituency resources, I've been able to assist persons in that age group, more than 600 of them, with building grants. Those persons too have children attending university, and I've been able to provide quite a number of tuition grants. In fact, over the last 4+ years, I've spent $30 million on education, because had it not been for education, I couldn't be sitting here talking to you as Member of Parliament for Manchester Central.
All right. On the other end, for the youngsters, remember now, you are going up against a man who has the support of people who are big business people in central Manchester, able to have facilities and installations that employ scores, if not hundreds, of young people. That's a significant challenge that you're up against.
No, that's not a challenge, because in my very short time, I have been able to provide quite a number of employment opportunities. As I speak to you tonight, there are 30 very energetic young persons at my constituency office. And these youngsters have been assisting with the campaign at various levels. As I walk the street, many young people from high school, those attending universities, because of the support that I've given them through education, those who would have benefited from the farmer program, more than almost 200 of those youngsters, 1,500 youngsters who have been able to propel through skills training, through heart. All of those young people are looking to me. And then, of course, I grew up in the constituency across several of the division, because when I was growing up, you know, I had a very difficult upbringing, and my mother was always moving about the constituency, looking for cheaper housing solutions. And so many of the youngsters who were my peers, they are looking to me as their role model. Many express, Rhoda, you carry not just your own hope for yourself, but our hope. And they don't want me to fail. So I have that support.
What would you say your relationship is with members of the business community, the Chamber of Commerce then in Manchester, in terms of your connection with them and your ability to help them to achieve things that they want for their businesses, individually as business operators, or collectively as a Chamber of Commerce looking to do business in Manchester?
But not just the Chamber of Commerce, because there are quite a number of businesses and people in that arena who are not a part of the Manchester Chamber of Commerce.
The formal association,
Yes, they're not a part of the formal association. But, you know, prior to 2020, I've always enjoyed the support of the business community. Of course, I won't come here and call names, but even my campaign in 2020 and my campaign now, I am being funded heavily by members of the business community. They believe in my vision. They have seen the work, not just the infrastructure with the road network, but, you know, water has been a major challenge in that constituency as well. And our government is investing multi-billion dollars bringing the Greater Mandeville Water Project. So members of the business community, they're very happy about that. Another national project that would have benefited my constituency is the construction of the Maypen to Williamsfield leg of the highway. And, you know, that has been significantly reducing traffic time. Our traffic management system, that the phase 1 is completed and we're moving into phase 2, that has also helped. So investors' confidence has been significantly boosted in the constituency. People are comfortable with my leadership. And so I enjoy the support of a wide cross-section of members of the business community.
All right, sticking with business, I mentioned support that Donovan Mitchell will have or is set to have in the form of a certain businessman who, you know, I'm talking, the viewers know, no need to mention by name. But here's this thing. Many people look at what happened in central Manchester in 2020 and say, that gentleman was not seeing eye to eye with Mr. Bunting. And therefore, the absence of that support is what cost the PNP the election. They say, George, that is not at play this cycle. That gentleman is front and center of the PNP's bid to retake the seat. Rhoda has no chance. I put that to you.
But if you look at even the comments from said gentleman in a recently published article in The Gleaner, he himself confessed of the work that I've done in the area of infrastructure and the work that I've been doing in other areas across the constituency. And to answer that question frankly, the voters list is made up of 40,000 constituents. I don't believe that any one man holds the keys to my victory. And outside of that, I rely on the power of the Almighty God, and no earthly man is as powerful as the man above.
Again, going back to 2020, when you looked at the numbers, you polled 8,000 plus votes, punting 6,000 odd, a difference of 1151, my graphic is showing me. So here's the thing. The voter turnout in central Manchester in 2020 was about 39.52%, which is, of course, significantly below par. And there are, perhaps in the future, if mathematicians are working out, okay, what weighting to give the 2020 results to account for COVID-19 and the fear factor for people to assess, they put a factor in the equation to get the answer. But it is a fact, 39.52% of the electorate voted. And they're saying that given that the PNP support in a constituency drawn at random in Jamaica is usually older folk, and the older folk would have been hesitant about going out. George, the result in central Manchester in 2020 was a false result. People have said that to me, and I said, well, I'm putting that to the MP to ask her if the voter turnout proves their argument that 2020 is a result that was anomalous, and it is likely that when things are normal in these times, the result may be different.
George, I'm very confident that when the polls are closed and the votes are counted, you will see Rhoda Crawford walking away with a greater majority and greater numbers than we're able to poll in 2020. And there are several reasons. And one of that reason is back in 2020, apart from the COVID factor, you know, there are quite a number of constituents who are saying, boy, this little girl, we're not sure what she'll bring to the table. And some of those persons who, you know, were disgruntled or not pleased with the performance of, you know, Peter Bunting, and they weren't sure of what I could offer, you know, they sat on the sidelines. But having seen the work that I have done, when I walk across the constituency, the amount of persons that have been coming to me to say, hey, Rhoda, in 2020, I wasn't sure what you would have been able to offer, but based on how you have delivered as a member of parliament, we're coming out. When I move into the middle class communities, I see people running from their steps, running to the gates to say, Rhoda, I've never voted in my life. And these are older folks, 40 odd, 50 odd, even 60. We've never voted, but here is my new ID card. I've seen the work that you have done, and we're going out and we're going to give you that support.
Yeah. I want to talk about you mentioned water, and I was going to pick that out as a theme because, and still am, because one of the things in a constituency like Central Manchester, people believe that Central Manchester is just Mandeville. It's not.
No, it's not.
It's so much more.
Yeah.
And in several parts of Central Manchester, even in Mandeville, there are serious water issues. So you spoke about the 37 roads that you say you have done in the 5 years to this point.
Yes.
What impact have you made in the area of water in taps? Because especially country people, you know, and I'm one of them, usually look at you and say, listen, the MP must know that I don't want nothing from his share, I don't want nothing from him. All I want is a road for walk on and water in my pipe. On the water issue, have you been as successful as you say you have been where roads are concerned?
Of course, but not just on my own, with the support of central government. Prior to 2020, as I walked the constituency, looking at the different needs and, you know, planning my campaign and my areas of focus, water was top of the line. You know, before being elected, I had to be chucking water to various communities. And one of the things I said to the leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party at the time is that water remains a significant challenge to the people of Manchester Central. And it's an actual shame, because Manchester Central had, prior to me, MPs who were senior cabinet members, and they failed to deliver. Especially in Belfield. If you check the Belfield division, there are quite a number of communities. The majority of communities in the Belfield division are without running water. And it is a shame that the PNP representatives would go on platforms and say they look to the hills. And you saw what happened in 2020. I significantly reduced the margin there. And I'm telling you, Jamaicans can look out for a great surprise coming out of Belfield. But back to your direct question. So following different discussions and consultations and so with the different water ministers as far back as Auburn Hill, the government decided to invest significantly in the Greater Mandeville Water Improvement System. That's a $4 billion program. It's a 3 to 4 phase program. So already there are constituents who did not benefit from potable water, no running water in their homes, who have already started to benefit. The program involves changing pipelines, installing new wells and that sort of thing. When that project is completed, in 2025, later in 2025, it may be pushed to 2026, but it will be early 2026. Thousands of constituents will benefit from having potable water. But outside of the Greater Mandeville Water Improvement System, prior to the passing of the late Councillor Francis in the Knockpatrick Division, you know, we partnered and with the rural water supply and was able to bring running water to Church Street in the Knockpatrick Division. And then a community in Greyground, where I'm from, in Wilbin, very early in my term, we ran pipes in that community. We're going back in later this week with the regional manager of the NWC to continue the extension lines so that pipe water. But I don't believe that you mustn't give a man a fish. I believe that until the man learns to fish, you can't make him dead for hungry.
Pause for a cause. Pause for a cause. We have to take the break here. This is at least her prime here on CVM TV. Rhoda Crawford talking about what she's been doing in central Manchester in her bid for a second term in office. Rhoda Crawford says in central Manchester she has delivered on roads with much more to come. She says she is delivering on water and delivering, which means that things are happening now and more things are to come. And she says where the young people are concerned, she has opened opportunities for the youngsters to put themselves into employment and training. And so she says she has done enough across the key demographics to get the support of a majority of voters whenever the next election is called. So will you finish the water points? I want to take you here because
I wanted to finish up the fish.
Okay,
yes,
proceed.
Yes, I was saying, while we're doing the Greater Mandeville Water Improvement System and we're laying pipes in communities, it has always been my philosophy that until the man learns to fish, I will never leave the man hungry. I'll give him a fish. And so to that end, what I've done over the last 4+ years, I've been able to supply more than, let me give you the exact number, 458 water tanks, with more being processed to constituents right across Manchester Central. You can check your record. No other member of parliament has provided water tanks for storage to constituents. And additionally, I've spent $7 million trucking water to constituents. And especially now, during the drought period where there's an increase in demand for water, even from those who are customers of the NWC. When somebody called me to say, MP, I don't have any water, I can't tell that constituent no. I just finished trucking 23 loads of water across constituency, and I've just put a program together to submit to the NWC tomorrow for another 23 loads. So I find different ways to respond to the many needs of my constituents.
And those 458 black tanks, MP, they're not just the JLP supporters?
No, that is not my political style. People will tell you, when persons come to my office seeking assistance, the question is never if you're a JLP, if you're a PNP, or if you're an OP. The question always is, are you from the constituency? Let us see your ID. And the reason why we ask that, MPs are given the same basic resources. Of course, MPs can reach out to private sector and various agencies for additional support. But I don't think it is fair to give the resources allocated to my constituents to those outside of the constituency, even though I must admit there have been occasions where I've stretched my hands across different constituency. Because my gosh, George, if an old woman come to the office and say, MP, I'm hungry, I don't have any food, I cannot in good conscience send that old lady back and not help her.
And on the point of resources, you said earlier that you are, to quote you, you are being funded heavily by private sector interests in central Manchester. You say you're not calling names, but that's a fact according to you. So therefore, some members of parliament, Rhoda Crawford, behave as if outside of government allocations through the CDF or other channels, the Prime Minister may make an announcement from time to time that he's making these funds available to MPs. They make it seem as if their hands are tied and there are no other funds accessible to them to do the things that constituents want. How supportive is that same business sector which is funding your campaign? How supportive are they of you to the bread and butter needs of constituents to help plug gaps?
Because even the water tanks, I have been able to provide so many water tanks because from time to time, a businessman will call me and say, MP, I have some water tanks for you. Just send me the names, farming kits, So, you know, they have been very supportive of the bread and butter issues.
Last thing I want to ask you is this. I recently saw you in the media saying that people not from central Manchester have been inside the constituency, tearing down your posters, burning your campaign material, and fostering a kind of tension in central Manchester that is not normally associated with the constituency. Where's that coming from?
Well, I don't know exactly where it's coming from, but I mean, I condemn it wholeheartedly. That is not the kind of politics I practice. You know, even in 2020, when I was up against Peter Bunting, I didn't experience the things I'm seeing now. So I don't know if it's desperation on the part of my opponent or those who are supporting him. But what I know and what my campaign know, and if you check through my WhatsApp message and look at the conversation from my party workers, they have said, MP, let us ignore them. Let us keep the focus. They can tear down all the flags they want. What they will not be able to do is to stop us from heaping the votes in the box. So at this point, they are free to destroy, to pull down any campaign material that they want. What I will not do, George, and this is the last time I'm responding to this issue. I said so yesterday, but since you asked again, I am not going to lose any focus or to lose any more time to be responding and running back to put back, replace. That's not what is important. What is important is that I continue to deliver excellent representation to the people of Manchester Central, and even while doing so, because I'm still MP until the election is announced, meeting the people on the ground, connecting with the people, and touching base with the people.
And you're confident you will get the second term?
Very confident of second term, George.
Hear you on that. Thank you very much this evening. All the best to you. Rhoda
Thank
Crawford,
you so much.
the Member of Parliament for Central Manchester. I make the switch now and I'm being joined by the man who is set to challenge her come election day. He is set to be nominated on the PNP's ticket, Donovan Mitchell, and so he's on the phone. Good evening, Mayor Mitchell. How are you?
I am fine.
All right. Where are you? What are you doing? What kind of work are you up to this evening? Jamaica wants to know.
I won't tell you where I am, but I'm at one of the farthest distance in the constituency, at one end of the constituency.
Yes. What kind of work are you doing this evening?
Well, I'm meeting with the young people, meeting with citizens in the area, because they want to ask the questions, and I've been answering their questions as to what am I going to do for community when I win the elections.
All right. So tell me what to offer as MP if you get the job.
Well, let me put it this way. I'll be offering them, first of all, quality representation, in the sense that they'll have an honest member of parliament, a member of parliament that is accessible, and one that is accountable to the people. What I will offer to the people is that I will sit with them, and they will tell us, or tell me and my team, as to what is it that we can do for them. I'm not going in to tell them that they want water or they want road. They must tell me if it is water or road, so that we can have a conversation wherein that we can solve their problems together.
Yeah. So I note you say that you want to hear from the people what is it they want. But clearly, as a man who's been at the local government level for so long, you know some of the things that I believe you'd say, well, these are lacking. What are those lacking things from your perspective in central Manchester?
Well, there's a problem of roads. There's a problem of underemployment and unemployment, especially among teenage mothers. There's a matter of agricultural supplies and help in agriculture. There's also the matter of entrepreneurship with the younger persons or the middle-aged persons as to how is it that they can try something for themselves in this time. Because you will recall that both Windalco and Alphard, which operates within the constituency, they are out of business in the constituency. So a lot of persons are now out of jobs.
So jobs is an issue that you are looking to solve. Yes, proceed.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, right. So I was asking about training, because in central Manchester, what are you proposing to do for those young people who have the fundamentals to train themselves up to be better than they are destined to be right now? What is your plan for that group?
In terms of training, there is, for example, the Poor Welfare Center. That's a center that used to do woodwork. Persons used to be trained in masonry. There are young people there. There's a computer lab there that has not been in use for a number of years. The first thing I will try to do is to make sure that that center is up and running. It is one of those centers that N.W. Manley himself, architect and helped to build. As a matter of fact, I think it was built in 1938. And that's a community in central Manchester, both on the border of central and south, which will help both constituencies. So we'll be looking at training, looking at art, looking at the things that we can do to make sure that the young people and the middle-aged people in this constituency is trained and marketed.
Yeah. You know, it's here as a councillor representing the Royal Flat Division, and perhaps see you on TV now and again, or glimpse a story concerning you in the paper, but they don't really know who is Donovan Mitchell.
Well, Donovan Mitchell is a son of the soil, you know. Born in Royal Flat, raised in Royal Flat, go to school just a little distance away from Royal Flat. Went to high school at Manchester. I have done all my tertiary education in Mandeville. I've never left the constituency. Went to UWI Open Campus, went to Jamaica Bible College. All my training and all my schooling is in Manchester. I have never left. I've worked in the private and public sector, and now I'm in politics, and I take politics as a job. I don't take it as something as a spare time that I do it when the people want me to do it. Because if the people have elected me, it therefore means they have me to represent them, because they must be that I have an interest in their livelihood.
Temperamentally, Mayor Mitchell, how would you describe yourself to someone who doesn't know?
Temperamentally, in terms of who I am, I'm easygoing. Easygoing. Anybody can talk to me. The madman on the street can talk to me. Anybody can talk to me. I'm easygoing. Some people might see me as being aloof, but when they get to know me, I sit on the roadside, I eat with the young people, I eat with anybody. I sit and talk with everybody. Right now, the whole set of young people that is here, and I'm actually sitting on the piers of a shop here talking with them.
Hear you on that. Stay where you are, Mayor. Don't drop the line. We're going to take a quick break and come right back. This is Lead Story Prime, speaking with a man lining up to challenge for the PNP in central Manchester. He's the Mayor, Donovan Anthony Mitchell. Welcome back to Lead Story Prime here on CVM TV on this Tuesday, speaking with the Mayor of Mandeville, Donovan Mitchell, the man lining up to represent the PNP in central Manchester at the next general election. Mayor Mitchell, the question I asked before the break about your temperament and for you to tell your constituents and the rest of Jamaica who Donovan Mitchell is, those weren't wasted questions, Mayor. I asked those questions because I've been told that, look, Mayor Mitchell is a man of the people. He's quite popular with ordinary folk coming and going in Manchester. The difficulty he may face is that in central Manchester, those people who are of a higher income profile may not.
No, that's not true.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you,
Yes,
but I'm saying to
right,
you that is not true.
You're saying that, right? Okay. Give me some more on that. Yes.
I have represented a division that has very rich people and very poor people. And I can knock on anyone's door. I can go to anyone's gate. I can have a conversation with anyone as it relates to what is it that we're doing or who I am. So to say that I may not be able to reach some people, that is not true. I have doctor friends, I have lawyer friends, I have business friends, I have friends from all the echelons of society.
In terms of the support from the business community, as mayor, I mean, clearly you have a high level of interaction and contact with the movers and shakers in central Manchester. How have they received the possibility of this Donovan Mitchell candidacy, and do you have their support?
I have 150% of their support. But I can't tell some of the persons who are supporting me because it's a secret.
I wouldn't press you on that. I wouldn't press you on that. I note though, and here's where that question comes from. I note that after the PNP dominated in the local government elections in central Manchester, you were very deliberate in praising one gentleman for his support. You know the gentleman, I know the gentleman. Why did you single out that gentleman for praise?
No, it's want to tell me who the gentleman is?
Mr. Black, sir. Mr. Black, sir, your speech at the arena, that's where I'm coming from.
Because you see, I have also mentioned that I have praised Comrade John Jr. was a past MP. I've praised persons like Calvin Lynn and the Chucks for their support.
Yes.
But among them, I did praise.
Yes.
Or did thank.
Yes.
Mr. Kenneth Black.
Yes.
You see, let me tell you something. A lot of persons have friends who they only talk to them because they want to use them. If a person is on my side or beside me or helping me, I have to give him full due as to where due is concerned. The hypocrisy of some persons in society is what pains me sometimes, because they will smile with you at sometimes, but behind you, they don't treat you or give you the same treatment that you deserve. Mr. Black is a businessman in Mandeville, and I know him of such. The first time I met him was when he was doing work for the government of Jamaica. The building that he's doing now in Mandeville, when they were opening it and doing all the work, the Prime Minister of Jamaica was there. So what is wrong with that if he's my friend?
And so I'm happy you said that, because some people, Mayor Mitchell, would make it seem that in some way, and I'm not quite sure how, in some way, Mr. Black's name is toxic. You are saying no.
I'm saying no. But if you can sit at the same table with the Prime Minister of Jamaica as a businessman, the Prime Minister have mentioned your name now and then in meetings. And on 2 occasions, I know and have been there where the Prime Minister of Jamaica is there. If you treat that businessman as a toxic person, then what would I say with the Prime Minister of Jamaica sitting close or associating himself with that businessman?
Hear you on that. Here's what the lady you're challenging, the lady you're looking to unseat, has said. She said that she's done 37 roads already. She says she's making significant progress.
That's a dishonest conversation.
Hold on, Mayor. Let me, Mayor, hold on. Mayor, hold on, man. Let me put it to you and then you respond, because that's why you're here to speak for yourself. She says she has done 37 roads in the constituency. She says that the Greater Mandeville water supply system, which has come about on her watch, is but one of the things she's doing to bring potable water to the homes of several residents across the constituency. Now I put it to you for your response. Is she being truthful with these things, sir?
She's not truthful in saying that she has done 37 roads, because simply, and some of those roads have been done either by the municipality or by various councillors in the various districts. Let's go to the Greater Mandeville water supply. The Greater Mandeville water supply started, or the discussion started almost 12 to 15 years ago, when the Perth estate was envisioned. I remember being a part of the committee. I remember the National Water Commission being a part of the committee, National Housing Trust, and we said to them, we will not approve development will not, and if you don't believe me, you have MP Michael Phillips, will not serve the constituency. As a matter of fact, the Perth people probably would be the only persons that get water from that pit.
So you're saying that constituents should not count that against put that in the achievements column for MP Rhoda Crawford?
No, they can't. They can't.
And what about the roads? You say not 37, so how many have you checked that she has done?
Not 37. I don't know. Not 37. As a matter of fact, I will tell you, because I know how things go. That's why I'm meeting with the community, because we are going to be doing a little road patching in that community, or a little piece of road in there. And I made sure I tell the entire community, because there's a thing that she does, is that as soon as the road is finished, she takes pictures and posts them as if she has done them.
Oh, so you're saying that it's misleading to the constituents?
Very, very, very misleading.
Hear you on that. So at the end of it all, Donovan Mitchell, as I've noted previously in this interview, you're not a newcomer to politics. You've been very successful at the local government level. You're looking to make a step up. The man before you was a name brand politician, one of the most senior ministers in government, one of the most prominent men in Jamaica. This young lady beat him and sent him away from the constituency. 1,151 votes short, he fell. What's to suggest that you won't suffer a similar fate, sir?
Let me tell you, I'm a seasoned politician. And fortunate or unfortunate, I was told that I worked as campaign manager for Comrade Peter Bunting in the 2020 election. I did absolutely no work in there. I was taken out of the campaign itself. I have been an elected councillor since 1998, and I don't think it's because the people love me that much in the Royal Flat Division why they keep voting for me, but because I am a performer. I account for my work, I'm accessible, and I'm well known in the constituency. I used to be road manager for Comrade Junior, road manager for Comrade Bunting. I used to be road manager for Comrade Junior, and I used to be campaign manager for Comrade Junior. So I know the entire ins and outs of the constituency of Central Manchester. And when it's over and done on election night, the MP for Central Manchester will be Donovan Anthony Mitchell.
Hear you on that, sir. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. And thanks to your listeners.
All right. Great,
God
great,
bless
great.
you, sir.
God bless you, sir. Donovan Mitchell, the mayor of Mandeville and the man who is the PNP candidate in waiting for the next general election. Please avoid this trap that people who aren't right in the head, calling people candidates already. You're not a candidate until after nomination day. You are a candidate in waiting, prospective candidate, likely challenger. There are so many descriptors to use, all right? Just get it right. Let's just do the right thing. You know, it's good to do the right thing. The right thing to do now is to break for Fan Central.